Have Matt Luby from Senior Market Sales going to be going over the Lead Advantage platform. That's going to help us organize and manage our Medicare business this season, and also going to be highlighting some electronic enrollment features as well, exclusive to Senior Market Sales.
All right. Pretty much we're just going to start from the beginning on how somebody would access the system or get registered for this system. So really, this is our website, seniormarketsales.com. Where you typically would come is just right here to this drop-down arrow, go to register, and some of you may be familiar with this process, but just so you know, you'd come in here, fill out this as complete as you can, and then a lot of times I know that Aaron will assist in getting a lot of these credentials, so a lot of this they'll be able to assist you with. But assuming you do have credentials, you'd come in here to log in. You would just simply enter your credentials, and then once you log in, it's going to pull up a screen that looks like this. Okay. Now, a lot of this other content is just going to be more educational information and certain videos that we make available to the field. But if we want to go ahead and launch that system, we're going to come right here to this button, click that. That'll go ahead and launch the system. Now, basic lay of the land, as you're going to see here, is a lot of this on the left-hand side, fairly self-explanatory. You're going to have a calendar, again, for any clients or prospects that you have, in this system. It's going to allow you to have some of those management capabilities. Now, first thing I'm just going to point out is if you do want to add somebody into this system, there's two ways to do that. You can come up to this Quick Links button, and you just simply go down to Add New, and then as you can see, there's a few other things that you can add as well, and we would just go to Lead. And again, can't stress this enough, but you want to be as thorough as possible when you guys are entering a lead, a prospect, or even an existing client. And I'll kind of explain a little bit more on why that'll pay off on the back side of this. So once you've entered all this complete, you just hit Add Lead, and they'll be in there. Now, for some of you who may have like an entire book or an entire group of clients or prospects that you got from an event or a lead source, and you don't want to do that one by one, again, this is something I believe Aaron's familiar with, but just so you guys are aware, you can hit Import, and just have to be in the correct Excel format, and you'll be able to import 1,000 at a time directly into the system where it'll place it in that lead formatting for you. So those would be the two ways. Now, once they are entered and in the system, they're going to pop up under this icon where it says New Leads, and that lets you know that, that lets you know that they're in there and in the system. So they're going to look like this. It's kind of going to give you the preview of what those entries look like and those different icons. So before I go into the actual lead or the accounts themselves, I want to point out one big, I think, convenience item that you guys will want to know about. So we have what's called a forms library in our system. And what this is going to allow you guys to do is to literally pick your product line. Okay, so let's just say Medicare Advantage. And you can select the year, of course, and then whatever resident state you are, it'll naturally default to to that particular state. Allows you to pick the county, okay, and then of course whatever companies would be applicable in that area. All right, and then you can literally just hit Get Forms, and it's literally going to give you every single form that's available for that carrier, and it's also going to let you know if it's consumer approved or for agent use only. Now, quick disclaimer that I need to share with you guys is all the carriers in this directory for MedSup, MedAdvantage, Part D, you can print off, okay, make copies, whatever you want to do, except for Humana and Aetna Coventry. Now, we have an exclusive arrangement with both of those carriers to where when you download, let's say, an application for Humana or Aetna Coventry, they are uniquely barcoded. And so we've been given access a range of barcodes from these carriers that it's going to regenerate a new barcode and a new number every single time you download a new application for Humana or Aetna Coventry. So obviously you do not want to copy those. But we are the only ones that have that technology, and so that really should make it very convenient when looking for something like this. So that is how you do that, and again, you can do that with UHC, at Coventry, etc. And then those same capabilities are going to be available, on the MedSup side of things. So basically same process. MedSup, pick whatever state. Typically, it's going to default to what you have, and then you just pull that up. You go to your forms, and you've got whatever forms you need. So if you guys have any other further questions on that, we can touch on that later. But wanted to point that out. Now, back to when we have leads in the system. If you want to access that, quick way to do that is, let's say you find the lead or the prospect that you want to go to. Basically, the way to access that is you're just going to click on this little cartoon head right here, okay? And we're just going to click on it. All right. Now, this is kind of the profile screen. This is kind of the dashboard of everything that you have on that client. So if you notice up here, kind of all the client-specific data. And then down below, this is going to be a potential running history of any applications or products that have been quoted or discussed or even written, on that client, okay? Now, on the right-hand side, you can create any preferences, for contact or, whatever that client may want. And then you do have an opportunity to actually put notes in the system manually, if you like. Otherwise, certain system functions will put notes in automatically for you. So we can get into more of that too as well. So the first component I'm going to show you within this is the good old scope of an appointment. I think we all know what that is and why we have to do it. So we were actually the first ones to design what we would call an electronic scope of an appointment. And so what this does is this gives agents in the field the ability to send and receive a scope that's signed in just a matter of minutes. Now this process is completely CMS approved and compliant, as well as carrier approved. And so the way that you would start this is every single time you find you're on a client screen here, you'll find that this button is on every screen. And so to start that process, and again, I just want to emphasize that this is only really for when you're doing a remote sale or you're not physically with that client, of course. So you're just going to click on that button, okay? And then it's just going to ask you to specify an appointment date. So we would just click into the margin. And as you can see, you can really click any day you want. Otherwise, we could just go today. Now, for some of you who are familiar with phone sales, you obviously know that you can do, same-day appointment or phone appointment. That is, perfectly fine to pick that option. And then, really, at this point, now it's just a matter of clicking the email e-signature scope of appointment. Okay, so we email it. Now, I have this synced up to my work email, so I'm going to be able to show all of you what it's going to look like from the customer side. So that way you kind of have an idea of what to expect that the customer and the client's going to see. Now I'm going to show you what this looks like. Okay, so this is what the client's going to get, okay? I'm going to say, Dear Mr. Client, please click on the link below where you can electronically sign this scope, before we can discuss, all the different options. So the client would then click on this, okay? And it's going to ask them two security questions. Number one, it's going to ask for their zip code, and the second is the date of birth. Okay, so first is we're going to put the zip code in, and the next we're going to put the date of birth. So that's going to be 11/1/51. Okay, so once they enter these two pieces of information and they hit continue, now they have access to that scope of an appointment. And really from here, it's pretty simple. So as you all know, whatever you're going to be discussing, that's what we're going to be initialing. So if it's both, if you're not sure which plan you're going to go with, whether it's a MedSup or MedAdvantage, have them initial both or whatnot. But whatever it is, we're going to come down here, initial it, okay? the client's going to just simply type their name, okay? And if you notice, everything else is already automatically completed and documented for them. Phone appointment. So now they just hit submit, okay? And so now we're going to revert back to the agent side, okay? So now back on your side of the fence, where do we find this record? Where do we see what happened, okay? Now, I have my email alerts turned off, but just so you're aware, you can get email alerts as the client clicks on the scope or an application, and as they complete it, you could be notified of this throughout the process if you were to choose for those alerts. And this is what they would look like, just so you know. Just kind of show you guys that, okay? All right, so now, if you notice, there's this section here on each client profile screen, Scope 1 Appointment Record, okay? So as you all probably know, we have this rule about storing, 10 years of scopes and all that good stuff and file cabinets. Well, potentially we can get rid of that if we like. So if you come in here, we see that it stores every single scope that we've done for this client ever. And so we just find the particular date of appointment that we just set up, see the product line. Now it says agent e-signature needed. It'll say yes or no. So it looks like we still need an agent signature. So now all we do as the agent is we literally just type our name, okay, and hit submit. And so now it's done. So now if you want to view it, what we're going to do is click view, okay, and now we have a complete, signed, saved, CMS approved scope of an appointment, okay? And I will point out that, again, those are in there forever. So whenever you need to access them, you can. Now, if you need it readily available for something, you do have the option, as you see, to print, or you can convert it and just fire it off in an email if you need to. So, that's not a problem. So that is our scope process. Pretty quick and easy. Now, obviously, the only prerequisite, client has an email address. So, all right. So moving on to the next area of interest here is going to be if you guys are wanting to quote, let's say, Medicare Advantage or Part D, okay? So if you'll notice along top, again, like I said, this is kind of our dashboard. So we're going to click on the corresponding product line. Now, what's nice about doing it off of the individual is a lot of this information is already kind of plugged in there already. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to Find Pharmacy. Let's go ahead and put a pharmacy in there for, for this client, okay? So just for fun, we'll pick this one. Now, healthcare providers. We can also plug in our providers that we're going to be using. Okay. Now, we can select, a general provider or also a specialist, however we want to do this. So you can expand the radius, primary care specialist. So I'm just going to pick one as my primary care. Okay, I hit select it, and then we would hit save. Okay, and we can hit view to make sure it's there. Okay, so we've got my primary care. But let's say we wanted to add a specialist as well to this client profile. So we just switch this to specialist, okay? And if we need to modify that radius, we can. And then again, you can literally, there's quite a few options here. So I'm just gonna pick a specialist, and we'll go with this. We'll go with this one. Okay, so we've got our pharmacy, we've got our providers. So now some of you may be familiar with like a lookup tool, like a lot of people use it on Medicare.gov. So we actually have the TPA, the third-party administrator contract with the same company that does the drug lookup tool for Medicare.gov. So you'll find that the formulary, all the content is actually the same, and in some cases, actually a couple weeks more up to date. So what we're going to do is you can plug in all of your drugs right here on the client screen. You can put in up to 25 drugs, okay? And let's see here. And they will save, so you never have to, remove them. Unless, of course, the drug changes or whatever the situation may be. So obviously with Crestor, for example, that's a brand name. We'll click on it. it will give you that generic alternative. Go ahead and select all these types of parameters and choices, and when we add it. Now, if you want to remove it, we literally just click on that red X, just like if we wanted to remove that pharmacy. Okay? So that's how we add drugs. Now, I think we've got enough information to at least run a quote. So we'll go ahead and get quote. And we'll kind of show you what to expect on this side. All right, so you will all notice that when you get the quote results, you can filter these results by Part D only, MA only, or MAPD. So I think most commonly we probably see the MAPD a lot. Now, you guys all know how to change that if you need to. So first thing I'm going to point out is another exclusive feature that you will not find anywhere else. It is our plans feature, which basically is an acronym. It stands for Provider Lookup and Network Search. So what this is going to allow you to do is cross-reference the plan with the provider, and in a matter of seconds, see if that provider is in network with that client's choosing a plan right here. So say they needed this, Humana Gold Plus. Now, if we look at this legend, it's pretty simple. It lets us know, it's all filled in. That means all providers are in the network. Some, or none of it, none in the network. So a quick way as an agent that you can check this on the fly, if your client says, hey, I need that Gold Plus plan and I'm flexible on my provider, you click right here, okay? And now it pulls that original list back up of the providers you had picked. And if notice, out of network, all of these, okay? So let's say we want to go to our primary care and we say change. Now, what it's going to do is it automatically pulled up a list of providers in that area or in the radius that you picked that are automatically in network with that plan. So now I can literally just I'll go here to, Dr. Brown. I'll hit replace. And what do you know? It automatically replaces it. It's in network and it carries over the PCP number for you. So should hopefully save you a lot of time. Now you may also know that the reason you see some of these out-of-network here is because, remember, it's also based on location. So keep that in mind when you are discussing that with your clients, that location is definitely a factor when considering the network, or if it is network. And then again, same process for a specialist. Same thing. If you wanted to be able to change that, you can quickly pull this up on the fly, replace, and again, once we swap that out, now we have a specialist and a primary care that are both, in network, potentially with that plan. So that's how you would go about doing that. And again, the whole purpose of this, save you time, save some headache, hopefully. So now, some of the basic information that you can expect to see on a quote, okay, for MAPD, I'm just going to point these out to you. You're going to see the star rating. You're going to see the plan details. So that's going to be like the in-network pharmacy, the estimated cost. It's also going to give you the benefit summary that's attached here. It's also going to give you the pharmacy cost estimate, keyword estimate. These are not exact, but it will give you the estimate for the remainder of that year based on that drug. Okay. It's also going to give you that tier classification for whatever drugs. If you had all 25 in there, it'll give you all the classifications. It's also going to give you the estimated monthly costs, and it'll also include even the mail order costs. So again, just nice that you're able to retrieve all of that information in one spot. Okay. Now, for just reference sake, there is a summary of benefits straight from the carrier that's attached on each one of these plans. So again, that should help with saving time. All right. Now, if let's say we wanted to enroll somebody, okay, and again, client has an email address. That's what a lot of these are going to be predicated on. Your client has an email address, and you are not physically together. They like this plan. They want to do this. I'm going to show you what these icons mean. So now we can go straight from the quote, and we could potentially do an enrollment now. So anytime you see a folder, just want to point out that what this is all the forms that are specific to that plan, that county, that carrier. And anything that's automatically checked means the system's already done the thinking for you and is letting you know those are the ones that are required to be included, of course. The ones that aren't are more optional then. Okay, so that's what that is. Now, this next icon, you're going to see this is called AICOE. And again, that is a proprietary enrollment feature to senior market sales. It's an acronym that stands for Agent Initiated Consumer Online Enrollment. And so basically you as the agent are initiating the enrollment, and then you are passing it off to the client to where they finish up the enrollment. So I'll show you kind of how that process would look. Now, keep in mind, this is piggybacking on the online application platform of each particular Medicare Advantage carrier. So they may look a little different from carrier to carrier, but the overall concept is going to be the same. So right here, as you see, it's asking me to acknowledge the scope. So this is just a compliance thing. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to assume that I've already done that part of it. And then once I acknowledge that, it's going to go to the next screen. Now, I apologize if it's a little laggy. Sometimes when we do live webinars like this with GoToMeeting or Join.me, there tends to be a little bit of delay. So sorry about that for some of you. So now we bring up this screen. And again, it's just kind of letting you know what's next. So this is now going to allow us to connect to the Humana Fast app, okay? Their online platform. So now I hit continue. Now, I personally am not appointed with Humana, so I'm not going to go further than this screen, but I'm sure a lot of you know what's next. So this is what would happen. The agent or agency, you just plug this information in one time. I don't believe you're going to be asked to do it again. And what's next after this screen is it's going to pull up the actual Fast app. Now, back at the beginning of this demonstration, when I pointed out you want to be as thorough as possible when you're entering a prospect or a client, right, into the system. The reason is when you're using an enrollment option like this, and once I get to this stage, and I pull up that application, it's going to pull over the data from your quote right to the carrier application and pre-fill it for you. So save some data entry time for you, the agent, and obviously, makes it less work for the client. Okay? So then once we've done that portion, then really you're just passing that off to the client to where they would finish it up on their side, and just like a normal online application then at that point. So pretty simple. That's how that would look kind of for Humana. Okay. I'll show you just kind of another example, so you can get an idea here. So again, like with like AARP, okay, like with United Healthcare, same thing. We click the globe, we acknowledge, and then it says continue to online enrollment for email with hyperlink to applicant. So again, it's going to vary just a little bit based on what that carrier has set up or what they're capable to do for their online platform. Okay, so this is what we would do for United Healthcare, for AARP. So if somebody wanted to enroll in this plan, notice it automatically formatted it into an email, and so now we would just we can look it over, okay? If it's good to go, we can go ahead and hit send. So this is what that's going to look like. And then I just want to point out that when you do this particular method, it's going to send that invite or that enroll link, and then following it, just like if you're in person, it's going to send those important documents that are required to be included as well. So just point that out. So the client then would just, again, click on that link. And it's important to know as well, any links that you're sending out of our system, they're automatically embedded with your carrier routing number. So it's unique to you. You would automatically be AOR on that obviously. So here's a good example I wanted to show you. When they pull this up, it's going to pre-populate, again, any data that you have on that client, and it'll pull it over to that carrier app for you. So again, the whole idea is to just make it easier for the agent, easier for the client. So again, just kind of want to give you all a preview of kind of what that would look like and how that process would take place. So the only other thing I just wanted to show real quick is, again, for Medicare supplements, same thing. If we want to do a MedSup quote, we're literally just clicking on the corresponding product line. And so let's see here. We're going to go, okay. And then if you notice, this is the general information that it's going to ask for, whether they qualify or not. And then you can have it sorted by different things if you want. Otherwise, it's generally going to sort it by plan name. Okay, so I just wanted to show you all what this looks like. So for MedSup, it's going to typically group it by plan name, show you all the different carriers. And as you all now kind of know what some of these icons are, one other thing I'll just show you is we also do have what's called app by email, which is another proprietary enrollment method here at Senior Market Sales. So just really quick, if let's say you wanted to, enroll somebody on, let's say, an AARP MedSup plan, we're actually the only FMO in the country that you have the ability to enroll somebody for AARP remotely. Nobody else has that ability, at least to do it compliantly. So if you wanted to do that, you literally just click on the icon. And if you notice, every carrier has that feature, but nobody else can do that with UHC except for us. So it's going to pull up a PDF of that application. It will be pre-populated, and kind of just want to show you guys what this looks like. So this will be the application. And again, it is fillable. So pretend we haven't sent it to the client yet. Now, if you wanted to go through and just kind of make life easier for the client, and if there's anything you want to fill in or add or whatever, you can do that. And then whenever you think you're ready to send it to a client, find any one of these save buttons. Again, formats it. You hit send application email to client. Pretty much asks you, are you sure? And then we go ahead and hit send. Okay. So again, I'm just going to show you guys really quick what that looks like and that final process of that. And then we're pretty much going to open it up to questions after that. So while we're waiting on this, I'm going to show you guys one thing before that email comes through. So when we have a list of quotes, okay, I'm sure you've had people that maybe request an email or request to be emailed a quote. There is a way that you can do that fairly quickly and easily in this process. So I just want to draw your attention. If you have a number of carriers that they're interested in, all you do is you come through and like, okay, they're interested in GPM, Cigna, Mutual, and I don't know, AARP, okay? These are the ones. Okay, so you pick your options, come down to email quote, and again, just to show you what this looks like, it makes it nice and pretty, puts them all together. It even gives a breakdown of all the carriers, their household discount rules, and you can just send it right off. So you're looking polished and professional when you send those quotes. So anyway, just as a FYI. All right, so now that we've got the AARP application that we emailed, same process here if you remember. We just put in the zip code and the date of birth. And I probably should know my zip code, but 85224. And then we've got our date of birth. And now, as again, you can see, here's the access to the documents. And again, it's at your discretion, but if you want to be on the phone with the client and maybe help them, if you think they need help, you can tell them what to click on. They would just click on the application. And they're going to have the same exact functionality that you had on your side. The application, it's fillable. Now, with the app by email, all carriers are going to require a wet signature for this. So this particular method is going to require them to have a printer. So they're going to need to go through it all. They can type it in, fill it in, but then they're going to have to print it off, get that wet signature, and then they can return that to you any method they like. They can fax it back, email it, or even drop it in the mail. So that's pretty much kind of a quick high-level view of the main components of the system. So we're going to, I guess, Aaron, we're going to open it up for any questions, comments, concerns that we have. So
Perfect, thank you. I will, give me 1 second, I'll unmute everybody and we will open it up. Thank you very much, Matt. That was a great presentation. Yeah. Okay, everybody, I have unmuted all of the lines, and I want to thank Matt Luby once again for presenting on Lead Advantage and going over some of the electronic enrollment methods. And do we have any questions?
I have a question. Okay, Is the platform compatible with all types of browsers or just one? Or
Good question. So I know our internet marketing and our IT are working to make it fully compatible with all browsers. I know with some the performance is better than others. So I know it does well, I believe, with Explorer and Firefox. In the past, there were some issues, I think, where it acted a little funny sometimes with Chrome. I think some of those errors have been corrected. But I would say that if you experience issues on a particular browser, to communicate that to your group or to us, because as we find certain kinks or if there's something that's acting funny, I know that we have a rather large IT department that this is kind of their baby on a day-to-day basis, to make this function better. So if there is something, definitely communicate that to us and, let us know.
yeah, because of Adobe, sometimes on my computer anyway, there's some kind of glitch, and it's not always fillable on forms. So if I'm going to send it to somebody, I want them to be able to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, I guess what I would do is, maybe a suggestion that I would have is the way that I did this presentation for you all is, if you noticed, I created kind of a dummy account for myself, okay? And I went ahead and hooked up my work email to it. So the reason for that is if you wanted to do it and then maybe test it and send like an application to yourself or a scope, and you can kind of test it out beforehand to see how that functionality is working out. That's maybe what I would recommend.
Yep, and then also if you're having trouble editing the PDF, you can also download a copy and save it to your desktop, and that would allow Adobe itself to pick it up, and usually that would kind of bypass the browser compatibility issue, and this way you can type it, save it, or print it. Great question. Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions on Lead Advantage?
Yes, I have a general question. At the beginning, you said this is being recorded. Is there a number we can call back in to listen to the recording? This is my very first look at this site.
We're going to email a recap that will have a link to the recording itself that will include the video and audio all in one file.
Great. All right. Thank you.
And then also, you had also mentioned, Matt, as far as technical support, we had, I believe on the website, there was originally an option 4 when you call Senior Market Sales to reach any technical support if we're having trouble getting our accounts unlocked, if they've been inactive for a while. Do you have a current phone number?
I don't, but after this I can get it emailed over to you, Aaron.
Perfect, that'd be great.
I do know that internet marketing, so just all spelled out, internet marketing at seniormarketsales.com goes directly to one of our divisions that help manage that system. So I do know that you can. Might need to have somebody muted there.
Yeah, I called him last week just to remind him if you had a payment.
Star 6 to unmute yourself.
Yeah, Matt, this is Dean Zurcher. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, so if the little ball, like most of these other companies, like Aetna, for instance, they're MedSup. You've got online applications that's able to email. So does Mutual of Omaha. United Healthcare would be the only one where they actually have to physically sign it then. Is that right? If they don't have that little world, like the 3 little things next to the...
You're right, yes. So basically a good way to remember it is if you see the piece of paper with that green arrow, okay? So I'll kind of toggle back over here. But if you see that piece of paper with the green arrow, just think that's app by email, and essentially it's like a paper app, but just we're making it more efficient by not doing this in person. It's just the PDF version, essentially, of a paper app. There's still going to be a wet signature required, but again, we're not driving, we're not physically meeting, so again, the idea is to hopefully make that a quicker visit. Now, if you see the globe, if there's a carrier that has the globe, that means that they're capable of doing basically an e-app, okay? And so that's essentially whenever you see that icon, that's what that means. So what we're doing is we're allowing you to do a quote in the system on a specific individual and then literally connect to that carrier platform for their e-app. And what it's allowing you to do is not have to go to 4 or 5 or whatever, how many different sources to do this process. You can basically consolidate your efforts out of one system, and then it'll pre-populate all the data from the quote straight to the application. So again, just working more efficiently, making it a lot easier. That's kind of the idea. So, but now with that method, obviously, no signature other than like electronic or printer would be required. So now again, the other thing too is I would just caution that if you hear about other methods or other enrollment capabilities, you want to know that the methods are carrier approved, and you want to know that it's CMS compliant. And all of our enrollment methods, every single feature about this system has been ran through compliance. It's been approved by every single carrier we work with, as well as we have CMS approval codes all over these options. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind too. So.
And in order to get that screen up, you have to have a lead in that you're clicking on that you're going through that process with, correct? In order to get those icons to come up, right?
You're absolutely right. Now, can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can.
I was actually in my. I can.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So if you want to do something more general and it's more of a generic quote, okay, like you just have Joe Smith call in and he wants to know what are some good rates. I'm not necessarily enrolling right now. I just want to know. In that regard, you wouldn't necessarily have to work off of the client screen. You could just actually click on the quotes button. And this is not specific to an individual. It is more generic in nature. So once I run the quote, okay, it's not going to give me those enrollment capabilities. So it'll still give all the carriers. It'll still give all the quotes. It just will not have those icons that, give us those additional features. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, that's a great feature to have where you can pre-populate all that. So once the client gets in there, you can talk them through it over the phone. So it'll save a lot of time here.
Exactly. Yeah. For some of your folks that might be, a little more self-sufficient, maybe give them that verbal direction and send them off. But yeah, for some, if you need to hop on the phone with them, that's no problem. So no problem. Well, yeah, if anything else comes up, feel free to let Aaron or get that relayed to me, and we're happy to help. But again, what I was saying earlier, Aaron, and I think you know this, if there is any technical issues of any kind, I know they can go to you. Otherwise, a direct correspondence to Internet Marketing at Senior Market Sales. If there's something glitchy or something weird going on, they would definitely want to know about that. So otherwise, really appreciate all you coming and watching. So.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, Matt, once again for your time, and thank you to the rest of our team for joining in as well. We hope you learned something new. I know I did actually when it comes to the app by email and differentiating the two. We hope you're using the system to its full advantage, and if you have questions or if you're not comfortable, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you with some one-on-one. We're getting your account set up. That also includes importing leads from other systems as well. So I can help you get them onto an Excel sheet and imported just one time, and then this way you can manage everything going forward from the system.
One last question.
Yes.
This doesn't cover any dual offerings, right? Like
that's
correct. Dual.
You're correct. I believe it'll quote it, but in terms of having the enrollment capabilities, you're still going to be using the methods you've been using thus far. Yeah, the dual eligible is not going to. Yeah. Yep. Good question. Maybe in the future. I don't know.
Yep, and we will have the recap that includes the recorded webinar, are some notes that we prepared, along with the contact information for Internet Marketing for assistance with any troubleshooting as well.
Awesome. Hey, thanks again, Aaron. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Yep. Bye-bye now.